All right, good morning. We are glad that you are here. The first ever Midwest Tech Talk winter retreat. We are glad that you're here. We're glad that you made it here safe. We are going to record as many of these sessions as we can, so those that are maybe missing this, that are going to wait for the roads to clear up a little bit, that we'll go to pump that out later. But we're glad that you're here with us in this room for the first ever Midwest Tech Talk Security Symposium. Want to run through the planning committee, the leadership team, myself, I'm Chris Warden, Josh Bauman, who made it. Give it up for Josh. He is on the committee, but one year he went home early because his school lost electricity. Yep. Last year then he just didn't come back. Last year he didn't show because of a vacation. Yeah. And if you went to that, we posted his picture and his email address up as a slide. He didn't come in last night, and we had concerns. I'm not a gambling man, but I did place a bet last night. I just lost $20. But we are happy to see Josh make it in today. Patrick, as well, Jason Rooks, Jay Rusin, Debbie Smith, and Eric Martin. John Wigger, he's the guy that set the school on fire that one time. Yeah. We did give him a lanyard this year. We did still not give him like a printed one. It has Sharpie on it. Someday the font will get larger for him, but he's just a maintenance director at a school, so we will never really treat him right. But he is a good guy. We had 90 plus register for this. Of course, you can look around the room. You don't see 90 plus here yet. Again, we're hoping more come in. We have over 60 attendee plus members. So if you're new to Midwest Tech Talk, I'll talk about that just really quick. So Midwest Tech Talk started. Yeah. It is crazy, but legit. Some of you got that. Started, this is our 6th year of Midwest Tech Talk. If you were here with us year one, you know how it's changed over time. Originally, we were Mo Tech Talk, and that whole thing started with some of us getting in a huddle. And we felt like there wasn't a legit technical, we don't want to get sales pitch stuff on us all the time. We don't want to just talk about what the teachers are going to be doing. We want to talk tech stuff. So we got in a small huddle, did that awesome conference at Grand Glaze that I didn't realize was a party hotel until we got there. And just, I remember we had granola bars for breakfast. That place had a fire a couple days before we showed up. But that felt like Tech Summer Camp, and really every year that we've had this, and it's gotten a little bit bigger or a little more legit, I've always felt like we're chasing after the feeling of that first year, and that's what we've tried to maintain. And those of you that have been presenters year after year, the culture is very cool that I think we've created with Mo Tech Talk. And then we started getting the surrounding states to attend and come. So we rebranded with some groaning to Midwest Tech Talk. And then that conference, because the state of Missouri was starting to get very security focused in technology, it was starting to get a lot security focused as a July conference, which again, we wanted to course correct that because we want that to be a technical conference. So that's where this March Security Symposium came from. We want this to be a tech security focused conference. I'm going to talk about that in a second too, but July we want to get more to like the technical, server sessions. Even we're going to do a technician track this year, how to fix a printer, how to fix a computer, that kind of stuff. So Attendee Plus, you are basically signing up to come to both conferences. We're going to ship you a swag bag throughout the year as well. I don't know when we're going to do that yet. It's well March, July. It might be sometime after July, but we'll just ship you a swag bag of stuff. We have sponsors that are doing the Plus stuff too. So they'll be doing webinars, and we'll send out information to you about what webinars they are doing, that kind of thing as well. We are a group now of 60, I think it's like 65, 67 Attendee Plus members. So we're hoping to start to leverage that a little bit as well. So maybe we'll talk CrowdStrike into giving attendee plus members a sweet deal. That kind of thing is kind of the thought we can do as well. We can build a small army of us if we so choose to. So that's $350 a year. I forget what we were charging for this if you were an attendee plus. It was like $125 or something. The July one is $175. We just want you to be an attendee plus so we can plan well and call it easy. So we've tried to make that an affordable thing. And again, 6 years in, I guess at this point we're legit. We are under an LLC and we have event insurance, but we're just laid back techs, and just like you guys are us guys, kind of thing. We're in this thing together still. So July is the Tech Summer Camp. Community is technical. The Security Symposium, very tech security driven. And again, of course, this is your tech department conference. You pick the sponsors. So the sponsors are in the vendor hall. They had to pass the muster of they are used in Missouri, or those of us on the committee, we have relationships with them, that they pass that survey that we send out. Still, the biggest joy that we get is telling sponsors they can't sponsor because they didn't make the cut. That's a super good time. So the content, the swag, again, the sessions that we have today, you guys said what sessions you wanted, and then we try to get presenters to fill those sessions. And the swag, the lock-picking kit, legit.
Because of Bill, right?
Maybe. That book, and then the YubiKey as well. And again, we thought we'd take that money and instead of buying several things, just to jam pack it into a couple items that hopefully are good. All that said, I'm going to turn this over. Did Rooks make it out of his meeting? I'm going to have Mr. Eric Martin come to the stage. So I'm going to have Eric take this thing over, but let me introduce it a little bit. So we're going to do open mic, 2-minute worst security story. Do not spend over 2 minutes talking up here like I just did, because we'll kick you off the stage. We want to hear, be thinking about this, your worst elevator pitch, but a bad pitch. 2-minute worst security story that's ever happened to you in your life. And you are playing for prizes today. Eric, will you be my...
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is, my man.
Okay.
You are playing for a belt, a victory. Because if you're here, you got through that story. You're playing for...
The luchador mask.
Because...
Is this really a prize?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I found it in the box that we bring to every conference, and when we do those battles in the summer, that was a prize.
Okay.
You're playing for this that I also found in that box, but this proves that you're like able to referee through bad situations. Do this one next. Do this one. Sorry, okay. Do this one next. This is a CrowdStrike calendar that they are giving away at their booth. But this particular one, if you win it, they are going to give you a larger prize that we're going to ship to you. They've talked about AirPods. They've talked about a larger gift certificate. So this symbolizes something greater.
At least sign.
What?
Is it at least sign?
Eric's going to sign that.
Oh, sure.
Maybe better than outside. He's never here.
And then finally, how many are in there?
1, 2, 6.
6 more YubiKeys
Your whole department.
for your department. Okay, 2 minutes, worst security story. Come on up here, don't be shy.
I don't have one. We've never done it.
Who's first?
Yeah.
All right, what's your name? Where are you from?
All right. Jonathan McCammon, Hannibal School District. I'm trying to think of the worst one. The only one I can think of is when you don't go check your servers on a regular basis and then a custodian calls you up and says that it's streaming and you go over and you've lost one of your hard drives in a RAID array And by the time you get it back to your office, you've lost the second hard drive in a RAID array. While you're trying to fix it, you lose the third drive in a RAID array. And you know that feeling you get that starts in your toes and goes all the way up to your head as you just lose all the blood because you have no backup of all the teacher's information that's on that server. And now you've got to go back to that building and tell the teachers, yeah, we just lost all your curriculum for however long. Those teachers, that was 16 years ago, those teachers still will not save anything to the network because of us. So that would be my worst story.
Right. All right, again, what's your name? Where are you from?
We're with Wellsville, Kansas. Mine was when I was actually working for Sprint. I was on the job for less than 3 months, and if you guys remember Code Red, when it was down, it knocked out almost the whole world. Anyway, 3 months into the job, I had to start troubleshooting my first Code Red thing. It's an SQL thing, knocked out the entire network of Sprint. Pretty fun. And the other one was when 9/11 happened and I was still brand new on the job.
Well, how'd you recover?
How did I recover? It was a team effort. It was definitely a team effort. But what we did was shut down the servers that were affected, clean them up, and then power them back up. But it really killed us for a little while.
Thanks, Walt. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Matt Steve, Kirksville School District. I just started in Kirksville in June, and about February, I was hired in January. About February, I get an email from my new school district that our favorite server, our HVAC server, had been hacked. And there were the mouse was moving, nobody else was on it. They were trying to infiltrate it, and so I'm trying to work my job where I'm currently at while dealing with a security problem at the job that I'm going to, because they've got a tech director that retired 5 years prior. He was trying to shut it all down, get everything taken care of. At the same time, there was problems with the HVAC system, and obviously because they were on the server. So they got it all shut down. They got the local administrator password changed, and fortunately, we were able to go into the firewall and get the right rule put in place to block that IP address. And because of that, we still get active blocks from that IP address right now. I mean, they're still trying on it. I'm guessing it's just a bot out there trying to do stuff. But so
Thanks.
Hey, was that IFS?
I think so. Yeah. It was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
While he's walking back, how many of you guys feel like your HVAC system is a security threat on your network? Yeah. We got some more? Saw a hand.
I'll go. Quit blaming on maintenance people.
Yeah, it's all those maintenance guys. All right, your name and where you're from?
Brad Bell, Rockwood School District. Woke up one day to someone tweeting our administrative password to our district. Yeah, it was good. It was good. But worse than that is it came from a thing called @HeyRockwood. And so this kid was like, I'm infiltrating the district. I've stole all their information. I don't know if I should be talking about this. He was like, I've taken everything and blah, 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 blah. Well, at the same time, we had this little device that was going around, and it was hitting our Aruba APs, and it was just hundreds and hundreds of SSIDs just @HeyRockwood, or Rockwood Hacker. It was Rockwood Hacker. We were just walking around the district. We could watch it walk. And we were like, well, clearly this is our guy. But, like, he's not the, come find out. And so he had this little device, super long story short, because I got 2 minutes. He had a little device in a Crayola box that just spoofed hundreds of SSIDs that as he walked through the district, and we had to hunt down which kid it was based on the schedule of where they were in the building, and he was only turning it on at certain days at certain hours. So it was like an awesome little investigation. And that's the story, basically, of how our administrative password got. Anyway, we got new passwords.
How many of you guys feel like one of your biggest threats is the students walking around your district?
Hunter Good, Joplin Schools. One Friday a few months ago, I was replacing the switch, and come back Monday, and you know, generally pretty uneventful, but I realized I forgot to add the camera DVR VLAN, and usually it'd be a pretty uneventful, you'd see nothing, but there was a particular TikTok trend running around, and there were about 10 different soap dispensers stolen that night. We were able to find the kid that ended up doing it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. He has soap dispensers coming out of his bag. But anyways.
Thank you.
Ryan Hoffman, Kirbyville. This is 6 or 7 years ago, right after I took over the tech directorship. And why is it always right after you take over? Every single time. I'll start this story off with the principle of least privilege is very important. I get a call from my principal one day. Hey, I can't find this teacher's lessons. We had a curriculum rebuilding year the year before. Teachers put all these shiny new lessons on a shared file server. You see where I'm going with this. I get a call. I can't open this one. Okay. No big deal. Get a call later. Can't open this one either. And it turns out, I log in, file server, everything is corrupted. Every single thing in this shiny district-wide curriculum file storage repository for every lesson in the district is just gone. And turns out, and this is kind of my fault again, first year, teacher had administrative access to her computer, opened a zip file. The zip file corrupted every file on her local machine, connected to her network share, corrupted everything in the network share. Luckily, our backup was only a week old, so everybody lost a week worth of work. They cursed my name, hung an effigy, and we moved on with life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any more? So this wasn't my idea. I actually just got thrown up here to talk to her. Oh, here, you got one more? All right, come on up. I hope somebody's keeping score or figuring this out.
Brett Carter, 406. She got really good at doing log4j matching this past December. Yeah, that's my story, log4j inside of
Log4j. All right. All right, yeah, that's a great idea. If you came up and presented, come on up on the stage. What's that? The executive decision has been that there is one grand prize, and it is everything out of the Midwest Tech Talk grab bag bin, as well as the YubiKeys. So one grand prize, right? That's what we're doing? All right. Chris, you want to be Vanna?
Yeah. I get like a row.
Like a projector. You're killing me.
Like a row of shame?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so we're
pretty
doing
much,
claps.
that's why.
Again, this was Jason Rook's idea, so we're just winging it here.
Thanks.
There we go. Thank you.
Do the 3-word summary.
Yeah, 3-word summary of your
HVAC.
yes.
Claps. No administrative rights.
Twitter administrative password.
Code Red. Soap dispensers.
log4j matching.
No backup. All right, let's give it up for Twitter administrator password.
It wasn't worth it.
Way too much. On the side. Yeah, very much. Nice.
All right, next up we have our keynote to introduce Jerry Gamblin. He is, you've been doing security for 20 plus years, right?
Yeah, I'm old now.
He's old now. And for a lot of you old hats in the room, if you remember, his roots are here in Missouri. So he's been doing this. He's been at, you started at Lynn Tech,
Lynn
right?
Tech,
Yeah, so he was at the college level, and then he worked as a security analyst for a number of years for the Missouri House. And so now he's with Kenna Security, and he's going to talk to us about the risk-based vulnerability management. So let's a round of applause for Jerry Gamblin.
Thank you, Jeff. Am I right on the video? You're recording this. I want to make sure I'm in shot.
Yeah, you're just in.
Okay, thanks. Welcome everybody, my name is Jerry Gamblin. I'm going to be talking to you guys about risk-based vulnerability management. It might be a new subject to you guys. I blog all the time at jerrygamblin.com, active on Twitter at jerrygamblin. And if you have any questions about this conference or want the slides, please just drop me an email at gamblin@cisco.com, and I'd love to help you guys out. The agenda is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to do what is risk-based vulnerability management, why does risk-based vulnerability management matter, and then we're going to talk about what you can do to do risk-based vulnerability management in your schools and for free. I know you guys are in schools, and I know you don't have a lot of money, so I'm going to give you what we sell for free at a project that we rolled out with the government just recently. So this will allow you guys to take a productized version of what we sell at Kenna every day and run it on your networks. My journey since we last talked, Jay covered most of this. I did start as just a help desk server admin at Lynn State Technical College. I then became the security director at the Missouri House of Representatives. I then moved on to Carfax for 5 years. And then 4 years ago, I had an opportunity to go join a startup as employee number 4 that kind of built risk-based vulnerability management. And then last July, Cisco acquired our company for a price with 2 commas, which was very, very nice for most people. So the lesson of this slide is you too can fail all the way up to the top. Just keep trying. So what is risk-based vulnerability management? Does anybody have any guesses? I know it's supposed to be kind of open and fun. What would you say risk-based vulnerability management is?
I would say identifying your highest vulnerabilities and focusing your security efforts towards those.
Correct. Risk, you have to start with risk, right? And I talk to business people all the time. Part of my job is to go around and talk to people about, what risk-based vulnerability management is. And I am not talking to security people very often. I'm not talking to people who mess with vulnerabilities. I'm talking to people with an MBA or sits on school boards. And guess what they really learn when you go get your MBA? What risk is, right? Everybody who's at a higher level, who's got a master's degree, has taken a risk management class. They know what that is. So when you start talking about security in your districts, one of the most important pieces of advice I can give you is don't talk about vulnerabilities, because that means something to geeks, right? We know what vulnerabilities are. Management knows what risk is. If you say, hey, there's a great deal of risk here, they know that's something that they've had a class in and that they should fix. If you say, hey, we have a bunch of vulnerabilities in Log4j, they're like, a vulnerable what? In Log4 what? Right? They don't speak the language. That's why knowing what risk is and knowing that that's something that can be measured and something that can be presented is super important when you start talking about risk-based vulnerability management. And vulnerability is just a weakness, right? And we're going to talk about this. You can have a vulnerability, but not being exploited, right? There are a ton of vulnerabilities that are released every day. Last year alone, there were over 20,000 CVEs. This year, we're looking at about 24 to 25 with some of the predictions that we're running. So knowing the difference between a vulnerability and a risk is a huge, huge importance when you start talking about risk-based vulnerability management. And here is what the patent says risk-based vulnerability management is. I will not read that, but I'll let you guys if you want. So why does risk-based vulnerability management matter? How many of you guys patch everything on your network? There's one guy in the back who is awesome, and everybody else does not. We'll get to this. We ran a survey right after we got acquired by Cisco. Does anybody happen to know what the average corporation, what percentage of the vulnerabilities on their network they're able to cover to close a month? About 15%, between 12 and 15%. So I don't want you guys to feel bad, right? Nobody is covering everything. When I was at Kenna, I would go do a lot of sales talks, and I would talk to people, and the thing would be, you get the one person who says, oh yeah, we patch everything, and I'm like, and I would always say the same thing. Oh, that's amazing. I really want to be in your shoes someday. You don't need our product, right? And we would go talk to the next person who isn't patching everything and who's struggling, and that's where we fit in. I run a website called cve.icu. If you're interested in security, it's just, it updates how many CVEs are published every day so you can kind of keep track. Here is what the CVE publishing landscape looks like. This is per month. So if you see, about 2017, getting a CVE became really easy. So now there are over 20,000 CVEs a year. I remember when I started way back in 2009, there were, 4,000, 5,000 CVEs a year. We quadrupled that. We went to 20,000 CVEs this year alone. So this is about the best way I can describe what risk-based vulnerability management is. If you look at the blue circle, that is all 20,000 CVEs that were published last year. If you look at that little orange circle, that is about the 1,200 CVEs that were published that had exploit code that were likely to be used to hack your network, right? How many of you guys are trying to patch the whole blue circle? Everybody, right? Like everybody wants to just get rid of everything in the blue circle. The truth of the matter is you can't. So you need to figure out, how do I patch the orange circle, right? How do I figure out how to just remove the vulnerabilities on my network that matter the most? So we know that 2% of vulnerabilities are ever observed in the wild, right? So we know that out of every CVE that comes out, most of them are not going to have vulnerabilities at all. Most of them are going to have exploit code written. At the end of the day, we're only going to see about 5% of all CVEs on your network. So what that means is, out of the 20,000 CVEs that are released every year, 95% of them you shouldn't even think about, right? Just looked last night, and there were CVE was released for a microwave, right? How many of you guys have microwaves on your network, on your school networks? Yeah, probably no one, right? But it's in the database, so that's just something that you can just say, okay, I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to remove that. even if you did have that microwave on your network, you had to be local on that network, right? Except for the guy with the kid with the box. How many of you guys have somebody that's going to walk around with a USB drive specifically formatted to hack the microwave in your home ec class, right? So it's really thinking about what is likely to cause you pain and to cause you risk. And then the number is 12%. 12% of vulnerabilities can be remediated by any org, regardless of their size, per month. So that's about what you're going to be clearing off your network every month. So I just want to make sure we have enough time here. So a common risk strategy is to use CVSS to close everything. How many of you guys patch based off of CVSS score? Yep. If you were just going to guess, what do you think the average CVSS score is? It's 7.1. Most people guess really low. Here's the breakdown of CVSS scores. It's not evenly distributed. We tell people all the time who are saying that we're just going to patch everything that's CVS rated high and above. You've just signed up to patch half of everything. Go look at the calculations that it does. It's super hard to score down here in the 1 and 2s or the 3s. You know, the stuff that people say, oh, it doesn't matter. By default, you're going to get a 4, 5, or 6, right? So you really can't use CVEs as CVSS scores as a way to gauge if a CVE is important. So here's that same slide with the CVSS 7 score kind of laid over the top of it. You're only hitting about 8%, 9% of the CVEs that have exploits if you're just doing 7+, because there is some backdrift. So you really, really have to make sure that you're spending the time and the effort to patch what matters. So what I want to talk to you guys about is about the outcome of a great vulnerability management thing. And it's to figure out what to prioritize, and then what to deprioritize, and then how that reduces the risk. To be honest, I want you guys to be lazier, right? Nobody has time to patch everything. And if you have vulnerabilities that are not going to affect your system, that can be deferred. That can be deferred maintenance, and it can be put off until you can patch quarterly. But you'll just burn yourself out as a security person if you're running around trying to patch everything all the time, especially if it doesn't have vulnerabilities that is publicly exploitable and is out there. So how to get started in risk-based vulnerability management for free. I work for Cisco. I like getting a check, but I told them I was going to give this talk and talk about a program that we've worked with the government called EPSS. It's part of the model. It's part of our patented model. It's a lighter part of it, but what we do is we go out, and we'll talk about it earlier, we give away a baseline of data for people to use, and we'd love for schools to use that data that can't afford to move into a full RBVM solution today. So RBVM is a marathon, right? And we know that, and we talk to our customers about that all the time. So you have your table stakes, and that's just what everybody's doing all the time, just patching. And then you have your intel-driven, where we bring data in from the outside, where we say, hey, okay, so we've seen somebody on Twitter talking about this CVE, we've seen this exploit published on GitHub, we know on the, I hate even using this word, on the dark web that they're exploiting this vulnerability, right? So that's what the intel is that drives these decisions. And then the Keynote platform and a bunch of other platforms help you operationalize that data. And then once you get there, you can really optimize it. And some of our bigger customers build SLAs, service level agreements, of how fast they patch stuff off of our data. So what we're going to talk about today is a program called EPSS, and it gives you those first two boxes for free. So the exploit prediction scoring system is academic. It started out as an academic project, right? Michael Royman, myself, and a couple of guys from Scientia a few years ago where we started modeling all of the CVEs that were released on the internet to figure out which ones are going to be exploited in an open source way. You can see the paper at first.org/EPSS. So what that does is it helps you with better coverage of the vulnerabilities that you decide to patch. So if you patch CVSS version 3 with a threshold of everything that's 8 and above, we raise the numbers here, you're only gonna have, efficiency of 5%. That means 95% of your work is patching stuff that will never be, exploited, can't be exploited in your environment. How many of you guys like to do 95% of your work, and have it have no value? If you're patching off of CVSS alone, that's what you're doing. EPSS version 1 was a little better. That was released in 2019. It was about 12%, but we went back and we added in another 12,000 data points to version 2 that we just released in February of this year, and we got the efficiency up to 42. So, yeah, 60% of your work isn't great, but for an open source model that costs nothing, that's really good to do. That's good to give you guys. As a sales pitch, the Kenna model is about 85% efficiency today. So if you ever do look to move to a paid program, our model internally is about twice as good as our open source free model. But I'm glad that we're able to give away this model to the public. So over the last 30 days, I just pulled this chart up, right? And this is kind of a heat chart, and it's not very visible here, but it tells you what CVEs that you need to be worried about that were published in the last 90 days. And right now, there are about 3 CVEs that if you were like, what am I going to get off my network today? It would be the 3 CVEs above 30%, right? That's the ones that our model is saying has all the likelihood to be exploited. How many of you guys are worried about more than 3 CVEs this week, right? Probably a lot of you because you see them all the time. A story that I like to tell is, how often do you see a story on the news about an iPhone getting hacked or a government agency getting hacked? And they're like, oh no, this Chrome vulnerability is being used by a government to hack. So you go out and you patch Chrome everywhere on your network and spend all day doing it. We tracked the numbers. When a media reports that something is exploited, we're only seeing about 4% of that actually turn into a public exploit. So when Google comes out and says, oh, you got to patch Chrome right away because it's being exploited, it's probably being exploited by one government against another government. And yeah, that's a big deal, and you should patch it. But if you're just in a general risk environment, you probably have 40 other things on your network that is actively being exploited that you should be out working on instead of something that, unless you make a foreign government mad with a leader whose name happens to be Putin, you probably are not going to get your school district attacked with, right? So there are the top rated CVEs for the last 90 days. I'll be sure to give these slides out, and all of this data is on first.org, so I'd love for you guys to go look at it. Do you have any questions? I really want to be able to dig into this data and answer any questions that anybody has, and this looks like the kind of group that has really in-depth and really smart questions.
If you said to leave here and do one thing when you get back to your school district that will better the security posture of your district, what would that one thing be?
Make sure every automatic patching is updated. That if it can automatically update, it's turned on. I don't know the number of people that I've ran into that said we've turned off automatic patching because they're afraid it's going to break something. Or, the guy up here who said that it's been 16 years and people still don't forgive him because of of, a missed backup. You'll have, 15 years ago I had automatic Windows updates on, and one machine didn't come on, so I turned it off for the whole network, right? And we go around and patch once a year. Turning off automatic updating really, really kills any chance you have to keep up with vulnerability management at a wide scale.
What does rolling out this EPSS look like that you guys developed?
Right. So EPSS puts out a CSV. There's a lot of three-letter acronyms in this talk. A comma separated value spreadsheet of every CVE that is released every night, and it has the score in it. There are some tools on GitHub, and I'm happy to help you. Whatever vulnerability management software you have or patching software you have, what I would do is export this open CVEs and then match them against the list. And I've done it with Nessus. I have a tool out that's on GitHub that you can find that'll pull out a Nessus scan and overlay the EPSS score on top of it and tell you what you should be looking at first. Other questions?
I guess working for school districts, we've got a lot of us are, the finance department tends to have a control on what's by because the budget is tight. Where might we find a template or something to help build towards this? With this, you need to be patching these systems versus these systems, because you have to figure out what's all the iPhone thing on. We need to be patching that.
There's an open source security tool, a SIM called Wazoo, that I'm really a big fan of, and that I try to get people to use if they have no commercial SIM or EDR. It's free, and it rates up there with about everything that I've seen commercially. So I would suggest that you have something like that because it helps build the reports. It has all the templating you need to kind of build that out.
So what's listed in the CVE? Is it switching patches? Is it wireless patches? Is it only operating system patches? Backend?
No, CVEs are everything. Our CVEs list all vulnerabilities, right? You have to think of the CVE as the Rosetta Stone of vulnerability information for the world. So every organization of any size takes their security bulletins, if it's VMware, if it's Aruba, if it's Cisco, and then they assign a CVE, and then that becomes a common vulnerability exploit, and then it goes into the database. So everybody is putting data into the CVE database. So if there's not a CVE for something, that's usually a problem.
Can you explain the difference between the CVS score 2.0 and 3.0?
We could talk about that offline, but at a high level, CVSS2 had all of the data in one calculation. CVSS3 is really a 3-part calculation. You're supposed to take the base score, which is a score that you see, and then add in 2 temporal scores, which is the location, hey, is it out there, and the data that's stored on it. So it's really a bring your own calculus kind of method for 3.
More suitable for your environment.
For your environment.
Do you think most vulnerabilities are because of leaked or used credentials of the user already?
Most breaches are because of phishing, are because of reused vulnerabilities. We get this a lot. We have people saying, "Oh, I want you to help us block ransomware, right?" And I'm like, I can't do that because ransomware doesn't use vulnerabilities, right? Ransomware is, somebody in finance getting this totally isn't ransomware.exe.pdf, right? And and clicking on it and launching it, and then we had a call and said, hey, could you have stopped this? We're like, no, we can't. And to be honest, nobody can. That's why they're using it, right? That's why they're trying really hard to pivot to using the weakest link, which is now shifted back to the person. When I started 20 years ago, the weakest link was the operating system and the software. But as that's tightened up, the pendulum has changed, and now it's easier to trick a person, to spearfish a person into launching a vulnerability or launching a ransomware than it is to try to hack in and do it. That's why this summer when the Colonial Pipeline stuff came out, that was launched by somebody in their finance department clicking on a link in an email, right? So then the government came out and said, oh, you have to patch everything. And we were in those meetings when they did that executive order, and we were like, what could you have patched to fix this? And the answer was, well, nothing, but we just want people to patch, right? So at the end of the day, it's really a lot of how you train your people and how much time you spend on with your people to make sure that A, they can't do the damage, F, they click on something, and B, that they know the difference and know that it's okay to not click on a link, to not, watch something that the superintendent said has to be done today or they're going to get fired, right?
Give it up for Jerry.
Thank you guys. Feel free to email me. I'm here to help. I still live in the area, so glad to answer any questions or to help in any way I can.
Josh, you're up.
Yeah. So, quick housekeeping, Twitter. If you guys want to take pictures, selfies, whatever, tweet about the conference. Midwest Tech Talk is the Twitter account. The hashtag's up there in WTT Security. There's also a Discord channel that a number of us are in and hang out most days and give each other trouble and smack talk each other. There is a Google group list there listed that Chris curates the members of that list. Feedback can be sent to info that goes to the committee. And there will be at least one survey after this asking about content of sessions, event space, stuff like that. We want, as Chris said earlier, this conference is built around feedback from you guys, our attendees, what you like, what you don't like. Hey, don't let this vendor come in because they sold us a line on this stuff and they didn't follow through. We take all of that feedback very, very seriously, and we hope that's recognized or realized in these sessions. So there's the Wi-Fi SSID. Thanks to our sponsors. Show them some love. Give them some conversations during free time and at lunch. And if you're around this afternoon, attend their sessions this afternoon. Thanks again to Vigilon and Motorola for that kickoff event last night at the bar. Brooks, where's Brooks? I heard that was really good, Jason.
It was okay.
HP.
I was not found in the parking lot.
Thanks to Aruba, HPE, Fortinet for being Platinum Plus. You'll see them again in the summer at the other conference. Huntress and Unitrends for being Platinum. And all of our other sponsors over there. Give them some attention today. So layout of the building for some sessions. There might be some rooms that are in obscure places. You might not know where to go. Eric,
yeah.
Talk about.
So we are securing a few of these rooms through security by obscurity. Sorry. This team here will be around to show you how to get there. You're in Salon A right now. The other room that's on the first floor here, as you go past the bathrooms, is Lewis and Clark. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just got it right. Okay. So Lewis and Clark on the first floor, below the stairs. And then the other two rooms, which are Pines and Columbia, are going to be up the stairs, around the corner, turn around 3 times. No. But we will be up there to show you where those are. So you'll go up the stairs, and I think you'll make a left and kind of weave your way through some spots there. So I think, I don't have a map for you, but we'll try our best to get you where you need to be.
That's it. We're a little early, so 9:30. I think the first session's at 10.
10:10, right?
Yeah.
10:10?
Yeah. Talk.
Yeah.
Be very.
show the sponsors some love. They're still rolling in the ice and snow. So enjoy yourselves.